The New Brother Podcast.
Dontre Hamilton, Trayvon Martin, John Crawford, Michael Brown, Sean Bell, Eric Garner, Dante Parker, Tamir Rice, Rumanji Bisbin, Walter Scott, Freddie Gray, Alton Sterling, and many more have been affected by police hyperaggression and negligence.
I can start.
Go ahead.
Okay, so one of the things that I see about that is people always play the good cop, bad cop role. All that whenever you try to so to understand how police departments work, you got to understand gang dynamics. And I know that sounds kind of brutal, but when you understand, you can take one person out of a gang, and he might be a nice kid, and you be like, he was real amiable and he was real polite, but when he got around those other guys, he turned into another person. It's the same thing with police. You might have that one cop that's by himself that might want to change the world and be a decent, but when you get him around the scumbags, all it takes is one. You know what I'm saying? Because somebody told me once, a whole lot of fear will kill a little bit of fear will kill a whole lot of faith. You get five guys together, you get that one douchebag, and probably the 4 out of 5 are gonna start acting like the one douchebag. You know what I'm saying? So all you need is that one, I guess they call it alpha male, to just, feel like he want to shoot everything, you know what I'm saying? Or he want to, he feel like, well, if you're anything less of aggressive, you're not a man. You know what I'm saying? You start creating, and those are the kind of people that create these little pockets that create gangs. It's people that are influential or, either, I don't want to say charismatic, but maybe charismatic with a little bit of just influence, you know what I'm saying? And you think about how you grew up. The guy that was mean, that was wanting to, fight anybody or do anything, like he was the one that had the power. So when you got these, you got police departments and you got the no snitching rule, like you got in the street where people are not supposed to tell on what the other guy next to him is doing. Because somebody
cops have that too.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Blue line.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the blue-blooded brotherhood or whatever. Mm-hmm. So when you understand, when you got to look at the police department the same way you look at a gang. Once you start understanding that, then you'll understand why you got these good cops. They get in situations where they got 4 cops that looking at them like, are you gonna shoot that guy or what? Mm-hmm. If not, you're gonna be the laughing stock, or we're gonna alpha male you and you know what I'm saying, make you feel like, you know what I'm saying, less of a man because you were afraid to take, use that aggression. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's where a lot of that comes from. I mean, if anybody else want to elaborate on that.
Okay. I like to look at things from like a political point of view because you have a bunch of different elements working here when you're talking about police brutality. If we will, let's go back to Rodney King incident because that's a vivid picture. Y'all remember? We all remember that from the tape to the jury saying not guilty. We remember that clearly.
Right.
When they beat this man that way, okay, to me, that as a black man, that showed me that we have a culture in which black people, particularly black men, just aren't valued as human beings. Okay. And when you're less than human, then it doesn't matter how we treat you. Now, that was the most savage beating I've ever seen in my life from as far as police officers. In fact, anybody. I've never seen a human being beat that bad. Right. And so we seen guilty, we seen police brutality, we seen racism, we seen hatred, and we seen a culture that's deep inside of a lot of police force agencies in America. Now, these people said not guilty. What they were saying was he was not guilty of beating a human being, a man.
Right.
Now, if we might have got a guilty, we might have got a guilty verdict if we just said they beat, this mule. They abused this mule. Folks might have said, well, hey, yeah, because think about it. If you beat a dog that way.
Oh, yeah.
If you seen people beat a dog that way, that person going to jail, at least.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? So that means, in short, a dog is higher standing. When cases like that happen, a dog is in higher standing than a human being. Okay? So with that being said, police brutality is what happened?
Go ahead.
We're good. All right. So with that being said, we have to look at when they shoot us like that and beat us like that. It's a culture that says it's okay to do that. Okay? And so as long as we keep thinking that they're supposed to respect our rights, treat us equally, this is going to continue to happen because we keep doing the same exact thing. Every time they kill one of us or shoot one of us, we protest, we might loot some stores or something, but we don't change, we don't put anything in place that's going to go about changing the culture of those police departments. You see what I'm trying to say?
Well, you know what? Because whoever's in charge is the people that got the monopoly on violence, you know, and people don't want to admit that, you know. It's like, but most people are, you know, you don't, people are afraid of the police. Well, at least black people are. You know, white people, they have a better understanding of how the police works. They work for us, you know. That's their mentality. It's like, you work for me, I pay taxes. You know what I'm saying? But
we're not changing the dynamics. In other words, as black men, we still go out there and we still find ourselves in controversial situations with officers, particularly white officers. So at very least, if we're not going to move politically to change it, then we have to change ourselves. In other words, we have to learn how to avoid getting into situations with the police officers. But black people, again, we don't like to take responsibility.
Okay.
We prefer to continue to go to law enforcement, the people who beat us and shoot us, and beg them to treat us differently or better.
I mean, if I could write a book about it, I mean, I got some pointers. You know, use tinted windows. Make sure you got your proper tags, because what most of us don't understand is when they're driving down the street, their computers are all automatically scanning tags. If you driving down the street and your tags is bad, they're gonna pick that up, like regardless, because it's not even them running your place, like the computer's running the place. Yeah. So if you get pulled over, and your car smells like weed, you're probably gonna get taken out. It's the consequence. It's a sequence of events that comes after you get pulled over. They're gonna smell the weed. They're gonna take you out. They're gonna bring the dog.
Which means we still have the balls to get high while we riding around.
Right. Or have, you know, and they're trained to see, you know, certain things. You know, when you're speeding and you slow down, like you hit your brakes when you go by the police, that's a red flag for them. You know what I'm saying? And instead of just letting off your gas and saying, you know, I've gotten better results just saying, oh, you know, there's a cop, let off my gas and they don't bother me. You hit your brakes, oh, they coming for you, because in their mind, oh, he doesn't want to get pulled over. And
he knew that he was doing something wrong too. It's like admitting that I was speeding.
Exactly.
Yeah. I think subconsciously I've been teaching my little brother how to act around the police. So like we'll be cruising, and then I'll see like a police at the light, and like he's turns and he's like just behind me. So automatically I know he's running my plates, and then I'm also looking at the speed limit to, you know, watch to not go over. Like if anything, I'll stay in the like 5 range, you know. But I'm just like chilling, just, you know, because it's watching. Because it's like I got pulled over one time, and it was at night, and then like I don't like driving at night.
Yeah.
If I can avoid it, I will. But I got pulled over, and the cop is like, "Oh, you know why I pulled you over?" And I was like, "I don't know, maybe the tint on my windows." He's like, "Oh no, your license plate light." And I was like, "Okay." And then like he was like, "Oh, where you headed?" And I mean, obviously I didn't have to tell him this shit.
Yeah, that ain't none of his business.
Right. But I was just like, you know,
that's him superimposing himself over.
Exactly. He wanted, you know, that little mind game, the power control, whatever. So I was just like, oh, I'm just headed over to school or something. Like I had my backpack in the front, and I was dressed, you know, with like a button up, and you know, I wasn't looking like a thug. Yeah, I wasn't looking like I was out here slinging anything. So it was like, okay, you know, let me just run this real quick. And I was like, all right, yo, go do your thing. And then came back, like, oh, you're all good to go. Just get that fixed. And I was like, all right, thank you. Have a good night. You know, but it's just like, I didn't want to escalate because I know what he knows, that, you know, like the black and white interaction.
Yeah.
And this is the thing that we don't address. Black people, you know, I'm just going to be real with you. I feel like we address the verdict, okay? When we know the cops are guilty and they get not guilty. We address that, but we don't address ourselves. And to me, I think that's what gets us in trouble, is that we're not dealing with who we are. We realize we are, like, I'm a black man, okay, or African, whatever you want to say. I know when that cop pulled me over, I need to get in the right state of mind.
You got to use your interview voice.
Yeah. If I'm having a bad day, I got to fix that right now before I make the day worse.
Right,
Exactly.
right.
Now, what's sad to me, now this brother, Freddie Gray, that was Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
Do you know, this is what I think is the true story, how he ended up having a confrontation with the police. He was playing with the police officer. So what happened was him and his boys, this is the story.
Wait. You playing with the police officer?
Yeah, I'm going to explain to you. They were sitting on the steps, okay? And when the cops was on bikes, was driving by, they took off running, playing. They was just having fun. And so one of the cops pursued him.
Oh.
And then after a while he stopped running. And I think, to my understanding, he was just telling him, hey man, I'm just playing with you, whatever. And by that time, I think he might have got hurt when the cop hit his knee in his back, whatever. That he might have already been hurt when they put him in the van. I don't know, but I'm thinking it's possible. And then the van ride didn't help it. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
Either way, if this is the case, which I watched, just the documentary that I watched, and said that's what happened. What would make an African American man think you can play with the police? You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
And so when I hear that, what I think is that black men, we still look at these officers like,
your life is in their hands. Why would you want to play with them?
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're not taking it serious. We still,
Well, it goes back to the whole euphoria, the whole stealing. There's that excitement. It's that drug, that adrenaline rush. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I mean, like I said, I don't understand, but I see the mentality. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're a kid. I remember we had a wrist rocket one time. We were shooting at semis from the underpass. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And I jumped the wall, and when I came back, we went to go make some snow cones. We had a Snoopy snow cone maker. So we we was having fun hitting these cars with rocks as they were something. I mean, we didn't realize the severity of what we could have did. Mm-hmm. So as soon as we jumped the wall, we seen a semi with a broken window on the side of the road, and the police there. And I was like, oh. So I took off, and I jumped the wall. And my buddies, they wasn't as fortunate, I guess. I'm like 10 years old, so I knew what was going on. I called my dad. I was like, "Hey, come pick me up," because your parents are separated. Came pick me up and took me out of there. And I guess they had got hemmed up, and and when you're 10 years old, you don't know about. I think they told me that I was there or whatever, and I don't remember. It just kind of like faded away. But anyway, it's just that adrenaline rush, man. To do something like I think maybe inner city kids just have that naturally to be adventurous when it comes to the cops. Yeah, we see how we you know what I'm saying? Like see what you can get away with. It's just like anything else. Like I'm gonna tell this all. You see how I talk to that cop? You know what I'm saying? We want to push them. We want to toe the line. We want to see
how tough we are.
Right, exactly. He's like, I was over here scared of the cops. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the kind of mentality we have, and whoever feels like I can remember times where we driving down the street and my buddies are scared because they got dope on them, and I'm like, give me the dope because I know that I'll be able to talk to the police without you gonna get us all.
Yeah.
Like if you got dope on you and I got dope on me, the way you acting with your dope is gonna get me popped. So I might as well just take your dope too. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't got dope on you, you're gonna be a little bit calmer. I'm holding both of our dope, but I'm a little bit more calmer than you would be if you had it. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, just let me go ahead and hold on to the dope. We go and the police find us, and then we license, insurance, registration. I mean, because you pay the cost to be the boss, and that's what it comes down to. You legit for the most part. We halfway out of this. If you halfway out of something when it first starts, when them red and blue lights hit, like, oh man, like I got this pistol, I got this dope. This ain't gonna look good for me. You know what I'm saying? Or your versus, all right, everybody stay cool. All my paperwork is legit. As long as we just keep cool. And y'all, you know what I'm saying? Don't be, but you always got that one side on the car that wants to be like, you know what I'm saying? Like either acting super fishy or he want to be and I go, what you pull us over for, Holmes?
Yeah.
I don't know.
And that's what I think we get a lot of. We get a lot of that.
Yeah.
Look, either way, I never sit here and say it's okay for cops to abuse their power, especially when they kill somebody. What I think is there's some cops out there, they looking for that opportunity.
Yeah. Well,
to
especially
take
now,
it to the next level.
I don't think it was like that back in the day. Like I don't know with the maybe the training was more intense.
Certain cities like LA's always had a problem.
Yeah, I think Chicago had always
had a problem.
I think the bigger the city or
the more problems. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
because it's such a big department, and to try to control every officer in every sector, every region is just like impossible.
But then again, it goes back to that stop snitching rule. Like, okay, go back to the gang dynamic. Okay, when my homies did stuff like, you know what I mean? If it was a fight and their mama came out and one of my homeboys like slapped the mom or something, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm like, damn, that was messed up. But at the same time, like, but that's my homeboy though. So I don't care whose mama that is. Like, F their mama. You know what I'm saying? That's the same mentality the cops have. Is like, well, they them and we us. You know what I'm saying? That scumbag will make sure you don't go home to your kids. And they've taught themselves this, you know, with that mentality. You know what I'm saying? That it's us versus them. You know what I'm saying? It's this mentality where you know, we got to be able to get away with a little bit extra to keep them in check. You know what I'm saying? Because like they'll tell you like you can only meet people with the same force they meet you with. Like I do security. They say, the force that comes at you, you can only meet, like if somebody got a gun, you can pull the gun. If they got a knife, you got to have a knife. Like, you have to be straight across. But the police have the opportunity to be able to escalate, you know what I'm saying, the force. They have 7 levels of force. That's why when they go straight for the gun, that's why I'm like, okay, number 1, I think, is presence. Number 2 is verbal. You know what I'm saying? Like, just being there is a level of force. Just being there, okay? That's 1. 2 is verbal. It's like, hey, cut that shit up. You know what I'm saying? 3 is soft hand contact. You know what I'm saying? 4, I think, is hard contact. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Where you're, you know, soft hand contact is more like escorting somebody, putting your hand on their back. Then you got like the grabbing and you know what I'm saying, the holds and chokes. And then, you know, you got your maces and your, you know what I mean? Which all the way to 7, which is like murder. You know what I'm saying? Or terminating somebody. So for these guys to go from 0 to 7, like okay, and then I've even heard people in the military say like we can't even get away with just going shooting random civilians when we out there. Like there's laws
of engagement.
Yeah, rules of engagement. So police are not following that rules of engagement because, I mean, ultimately I think they got the green light to do that kind of stuff because if you want, and I hate to say it like this, but if you want a strong like police department, you want them to feel like you want fear. You want to rule people by fear. You know what I'm saying? Like, and
to keep them in check.
Exactly. You know what I'm saying? People are afraid of Joe Arpaio because they're like, he'll lock you up there and people will die in his jail. I think sometimes he allowed a couple of people to die in his jail just so you know, like, yeah, your ass could die up in there and ain't nothing you can do about it.
Yeah.
Sometimes you gotta, you know what I'm saying? I think people feel like, you know, just to keep that extra level of, you know, I don't always play by the rules. You don't never know. You know what I'm saying? That unpredictability. You know, I might just shoot you. You know what I'm saying? Get away with it. I think that because I've seen it in the past too, where it was the other way. You know, where criminals were suing people for breaking into their house and falling on a knife, and you know what I'm saying. So I've seen crime go back and forth. I've seen it go to where like the police were too soft, and you're like, why don't you do something? But at the same time, like it's always rough on us. And when people talk about freedom, like, oh, I fought for your freedom, I'm like, you know what? Like, you can keep your freedom. Just give me equality in the justice system. You know what I'm saying? And it sucks like for me to say this, but I kind of feel like, you know what, if they was killing everybody, it wouldn't be that bad. You know what I'm saying? If they was shooting white folks like they were shooting us, it wouldn't be that bad.
We are very overpopulated as is.
Yeah, so I kind of feel like, you know, and like, okay, yeah, you don't got to take it easier on us. Just be as harsh there on everybody else as you are on us. And you know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't want to
be fair. Like, if you want to be something, black brother, beat that white guy. Like, beat his ass.
You know what I mean? Yeah. It sucks that I gotta have that mentality because I know they're not gonna use less force. But it's like, okay, don't use less force. Use the same amount of force you use on us on everybody, and then we could be like.
Like, I like that. Like with all the videos, like people are able to see them. People are able to like actually see what's going on in other parts of the country and like actually think like, damn, you know, I gotta watch out, I gotta be careful. But I think like we're missing like a huge context, because obviously, somebody feels like, all right, the police pulled us over, I'm gonna just take out my camera, just like right away. I'm gonna record the whole interaction. They may have their body cams, they may have cameras on the car, but I don't know if that's gonna be.
It should help.
Yeah, but it's just like, we don't see the moments leading into it. So like for the most part, like there's maybe dialogue that we may not hear. We may just see like the escalation of it, and then
I was just going to touch on that. What we have here is a lot of it. Oh God, the media is responsible for a lot of it.
Yes.
Because all my life we've seen bad cops or mean cops beat people, shoot people, so on and so on. So you grow up with an image in your mind that these cops are your enemies. They kill people and blah blah blah. But what happens on the other side of that, these cops are shown, criminals, robbing people, raping children, beating children, whatever. So they see all these bad things that people are capable of doing.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to the black community, what's weird is that we have this behavior or attitude towards the police that I can see where the chemistry is bad. Now, I'll give you an example. One example is, I'm gonna talk about this lady first. I don't remember her name, and then I'll touch a little bit on Sandra Bland. Okay. Now, this lady got pulled over about a registration being expired. It was something minor like that, and of course she go into defense mode. Black lady, and she got like 4 or 5 kids in the minivan with her. Right. So the cop is saying, "Ma'am, it sounds like he's telling me it's like sign this, and then you can go on your way. If you want to fight the ticket, show up at this court." Now you probably can fight the ticket on the phone and all kinds of stuff. But anyway, long story short, she asking to see a judge. So the cop says, "Well, you want to see a judge then?" He said, "Okay, I will assist you in that." So he's going to the car to call up, to see if we can get this lady. It was stupid, but I guess he was going to his car to see if he can make an appointment or arrangement for her to see a judge. So when he goes back to his car, she pulls off, right? So then he goes after her. Right, so she finally pulls over again. Now he's going to arrest her for pulling off while he was, when she was, long story short, when he tries to arrest her, she resists. She jumps in the minivan. Now by this time, two or three other cops are coming. Okay, because when she pulled off, he called for backup. She has her kids in the car, and she jumps in the van. Now her son, because she's scuffed him with the officer, her son jumps out the car. He's 16. The cop now is pulling the gun, telling the kid to get back. She's screaming, trying to get all her kids back in the van, right? She overpowers the cop. She gets in the van, and now they're in a high-speed chase. Okay? And one cop is shooting at the van, but I think he's trying to shoot. It looked like he's trying to shoot out the tires because they got kids in the car. Now, the point I'm making is this black woman, was willing to risk the life of her children rather than to, so to speak, try to find a way to get through this peacefully with this police officer.
That's some bad parenting.
So, with that being said, I look at Sandra Bland. Luckily, nobody got killed there because somebody.
Definitely.
Sandra Bland, I had this conversation with my family, and we got into it a little bit because I wasn't saying Sandra Bland was right or wrong. I was saying I think Sandra Bland could have handled the situation better, and maybe she wouldn't even been in that jail because he arrested her for some kind of like not disorderly conduct. Yeah, it was something like that. He didn't arrest her for the traffic violation. What happened after
obstruction of justice?
Yeah,
but you know what? That's a general one. That's one of the
blanket term.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but it escalated to that point. You see what I'm trying to say? Because she was upset, and I mean, a cop pull you over, you think he's pulling you over because you're black or whatever. Your emotion can get the best of you. But, she went into her rant with the officer. But what I'm saying is he had the power over her. At that time, I would have preferred that she would have looked at it like, okay, if I argue with this guy, he can make things worse for me. And now the sister's not here with us no more, and we don't know what happened to her. Some of us believe that she was, murdered in prison. Some of us believe that she committed suicide. Either way, she's not here anymore. Over what? A traffic violation? Did that cop have to pull her over for that little traffic violation where they said he was wrong? He shouldn't have pulled over for what he pulled her over for. But we lost a sister. And so what we see is oftentimes, and I hate to say this, but oftentimes when these police officers and these black people, or even people, period, get into these altercations, it's an escalation. Mm-hmm. So somebody got to say, okay, I don't want to go to the next level. Now, for me, I look at it like this. When I wake up in the morning and go out about my day, I put on my sneakers, my pants, my shirt, brush my teeth, comb my hair, I'm out. When an officer get up in the morning, he puts on a flashlight, a taser, a stun gun, a Glock. He got one in his trunk. He got a shotgun in his trunk. He got a posse. So he's prepared to kill.
Right, yeah.
I'm not. So why would I engage in war with a man who's prepared to kill me, and I'm not even prepared to even, a fist fight? You know what I'm trying to say? Yeah. So I just hope one day we look at it like that and say, I'm not even going to get in that situation where we have to escalate to him pulling his gun out on me.
Right. But you know what? And the thing about it is like, you never think it's possible until you dead. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I mean? Until you get shot in the back, but I mean, like I've always had, but then again, okay, I'm not gonna say I always had decent interactions with the police, but my dad was he was a prison guard, he was a border patrol agent, so he knew his way around the law, and basically, whenever something that happened to us, we kind of already knew. Like, he would tell you, take your damn head off when you're driving down the street. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Don't have 50 trees hanging down from your rearview mirror looking like a forest, and they know you're cheating and smoking. You know what I'm saying? He's like, and make sure your tags is legit. Like, it was just certain things where you knew, like, okay, you know what? He got me. He got me fair and square. Yeah,
like when the cop pull you over?
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, he got me. I know he's pulling me over for.
Because a lot of times we want to pull a race card, and it's like, okay, you are black. Okay, he did pull you over, but then was you guilty? But
yes, sir, boss.
But that's not the point, though. Like,
right?
No, that was damn fine police work. You know what I'm saying? Like, honestly, but I mean, there are things we could do, and you know what I'm saying, as a
right.
But you know what? Here's the thing that I just thought about this right now. A lot of these young black males are being raised by black women. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and
entitlement.
Right.
Go out in the world feeling entitled.
Not only that, is black women are good at arguing. You know what I'm saying? They good at being louder than you. And I mean, and I know I'm putting my neck on the chopping block by saying this, but black women are the best at knowing how to piss you off verbally. Mm-hmm. Like, escalating their voice, the things they say. Like, they don't really have to know you.
So imagine when cops deal with them. That's what cops go through dealing with a sister like Sandra Bland.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Is like when you got young black males that were raised in a house where they didn't have the, you know what I'm saying, father to be like, son, shut your ass up. We're not gonna have this argument. Right. They going back and forth with their mama all the time.
All the time.
So because they, you know what I'm saying, they're not getting taught like, son, we don't argue. We get to the root of the problem. Right. You know what I'm saying? So they're not getting that. So they get in there and then they start getting fussy with the police, and it's like, you know what I'm saying? Like, okay, what's the problem, officer? They're not coming at it civilly. They're coming at it like, no, you can't pull me over. You know what I'm saying? Like, they have that, you know what I'm saying, mentality. You know what I'm saying? And I know black women gonna be mad at me for saying this, but y'all is awesome at arguing. You know what I'm saying? That's the one thing that you do.
Well, I will compliment.
I will say this in for those of us. I will say this. I have seen more times than I care to count where white people have actually pulled out weapons, and the cops will give them multiple warnings. Please put that down. Put that down, sir. Put your gun away, sir. Put your gun down. And even I seen a guy, white people more than once, point something or a gun at police officers, and they still don't shoot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm trying to say? So, and that's where I have a problem, because what I see now is this fear or this excuse. Okay, I'm afraid of black folks more than I am of white folks. Okay, or black folks more likely to shoot me than white folks. You know what I'm trying to say? So this is a dynamic that once again we choose to participate in. When I leave my house, man, I do everything I can to avoid police officers to the fullest of my ability.
Right. But see, I do security, and that goes to another thing. Like, I get to see. Okay, so I do security at high-end apartment complexes. I get to see how they respond to different kind of situations. Mm-hmm. I call the cops on a white lady trespass and take them an hour to get there. Mm-hmm. If it's a black man in like a domestic dispute, they're there in like 5 minutes for 3 units. You know what I'm saying? And I'm like, and then they look like they're happy to show up. So you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like honestly, I this one guy,
their gloves ready.
Yeah. So this one, the one black guy was like, I'm trying to explain to him that okay, this guy is here, but the lady has him here, but she just had enough of him. And I'm trying to explain to her, like, have a civil standby. If you're gonna have him come and get his things, have the police there so that he can leave, and you're not
right. The cops will be there.
And I'm like, you're not having him get murdered for being at your house, even though you let him in.
Right.
Because it's the domestic situations. But anyway, I get to see the difference in how they handle things. I called the cops one day. These white ladies were trespassing, and the cop went and spoke to them first before he spoke to me. And I'm like, you know what I'm saying?
Right,
and
right.
then
yeah.
And he didn't even want to, give me their information. He was like, yo, I'll give it to your company, but I won't give it to you.
Right. That's how they do you.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, okay. So
that's the subtle differences that they do, and they're good for that shit. I noticed that a lot.
Right. So like I said, whenever I got these 3 officers showing up to meet the black guy, they getting all geared up. You got okay, the 3 units and 2 guys getting off on foot, and then the 4th guy shows up and he's like, I'm guessing I'm not the first one here, and he's kind of like ooh, he's kind of, you know what I mean? It's
kind of like instigating,
excited, like this is fun.
Yeah, okay. It's fun. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't like, damn it, we gotta take another brother down to jail again. Like, damn, Friday night. To him, this was like something he enjoyed. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's hard for me to be like, you know what? Like, I get to see this, and then check this out. I tell them on the way out, I said, hey, can you guys, because when they come into my gate, they use the key to open up the gate, right? And they left my gate open, so people just coming in and out. Like, this is a gated community. And people just, because you left the gate, like, now you're being counterproductive. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So now, I walk by the police officer, and they don't like it when security get involved in what they're doing. Like, call them, let them handle it, and you back off. That's how, because they like, a lot of security guards think that they're part of the police force when they get there. They're like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Officer, you know what I'm saying? So anyway, I walk by, I notice. So I'm trying to let them do their thing, but at the same time, I'm like, hey, can you do me a favor on the way out, and can you make sure you lock the gate, back, on the way out? And like, yep. And dude didn't even look me in the eye, and I'm like, he ain't gonna lock that damn gate. Why? Because his buddies are there, and he's the one that showed that, I don't gotta listen to this fucking black guy. You know what I'm saying? And especially the security guard. You know what I mean? So, which probably made it worse. So I'm like, yeah, he ain't gonna lock that gate. I go back, do my patrol, come back. I'd be damned if the damn gate isn't locked. Because, he wanted to show me that you're not in charge.
I'm above you. Yeah. The whole thing is I'm above you.
Exactly.
And then he's usually in charge, and then he's the role model or example to the other officers.
Exactly.
But let me say this. One time, to show you how they respond to us, okay? My friend called me. He says he was moving. He had bought his brand new house. He's happy. He moved into his new house, because buying a house is stressful. You go through weeks of this and that. We got to fix. It's a stressful time in your life. So when you finally get those keys, man, it's a great moment in your first house, especially. So he says, he called me up. Hey man, look, I got a refrigerator on my truck. I need help to get it off. My boys who was helping me move earlier, they all had to leave. I'm stuck here with my girl. Can you help me? I live around the corner from where he lived, his new house. So he comes and get me. On the way to help him with the refrigerator to take to his house, a cop pulled us over, right? This man pulled us over because we have a refrigerator on the truck. And he says to us, well, we've been having a little problem with all these new homes being built. People are breaking in and taking the utilities, like refrigerators, washing machines, whatever.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's like, okay, that's fair enough, right? So now he wants my friend. He actually says, can you prove that this is your refrigerator? Now my boy done had this refrigerator 6-7 years. My boy, I've been known him for 10 years. Yeah. Okay, it's the same refrigerator we had when he first moved out of his mama's house and got his own place. So my friend he's moving, so he got stuff in the back seat, so his seat is pulled up close. So he can't reach, because he can't reach. You ever been sitting in your car and you can't get stuff out your pocket? Yeah. So he asked the officer 3 times, officer, I can't reach my wallet. Can I get out the car and get my wallet? The officer don't answer. The 3rd time, out of frustration, my friend, he tilts the steering wheel. He kind of slams it up a little bit, and he, jerks back to get his wallet. And what did the cop do?
Take his gun out.
He drew on us. Yeah. He drew on us. You see what I'm saying? Now, I'm pissed, right? But I'm trying to be cool. So I get on my phone, and I'm like, I'll call 911. I'm saying, look, we got pulled over because we got a refrigerator on the truck. And my friend asked the officer nicely 3 times, can he get out the car so he can extend his leg to get the wallet? The cop didn't answer. And now he's pulling a gun on us. And so I said, is this guy going to shoot us or what? So I guess they radioed him because he came back talking to me, talking about, well, I don't know if this guy is on, if he's wanted for a crime. He go through all this drama,
hypotheticals.
Yeah, all this could be and that could be. Sure. And so, and this is how stupid they are. Is that now I have been drinking all day, right? Now my friend's license is suspended from child support payments, right? So the cop says, well, his license is suspended. See, that's what you tell me. See. This is a major crime that his license is suspended. That's what he told me. He said, see, okay, so once again, now he's acting like he was justified all he done because he had his license suspended. So anyway, long story short, so the cop says, well, he can't drive. Can you drive? And I'm okay. So I said, okay, I'm kind of pissed now. I said, yeah, I can drive. He said, okay, you drive and you can go on. Now here I am driving with the cop's permission because I figured if they pulled me over, I would say, well, the cop never asked me was I drinking or not. You see what I'm saying? That was what I was thinking. I was going to say, hey, the cop just pulled a gun on us. I was scared. I wanted to get out of there, and he just told me to drive, which he pretty much did.
Right.
So I said, after this cop just pulled a gun on me, you think I wanted to disobey any of his orders? Just to be a smart ass.
Yeah.
Right.
No,
but
yeah, no, that happened in a similar situation where I was with one of my boys, and we were driving through a residential blocked up area where it's like, okay, only residents can come. We're doing construction. Only if you live here you can come through here type of deal. So we're driving, and I'm in the passenger seat. We've been drinking Everclear that night, and we pissed drunk, but. So this is crazy because my buddy, here's the difference. He asked, "Hey, how you been drinking?" And he's trying to be cool. Yeah, I had a couple a few hours ago. All right, boom, snatches him out, puts the cuffs on him. Right? While this is going on, there's another car coming the opposite direction where we're like we were headed. Say we were headed west, they were headed east. Cop stops them too. So basically, you got one cop doing two stops.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Black people?
No, Mexican.
Okay.
So
same thing.
So yeah. so pulls us over. I pulls those guys over, and when he's done with me, he says, when he's done, he goes, "Have you been drinking?" And I'm like, "Nope," because I just seen what happened to the other guy. I'm not. Nope. So he's like, "All right, can you drive his truck home?" I hardly even knew how to drive a stick shift, so I get in there and down the road. So turns out like my buddy goes to jail. The other people in the other car, I guess the cops ended them up too. Well, the guy that was driving the other car, I guess he was drinking too, so he caught a DUI. He went to jail too, right? Well, I guess somehow they ended up in the same cell or whatever, right? My buddy and the other guy that was drinking. The guy gets out of jail, and he's like, hey, did you see what happened? I don't know. I think they might have took him first, or anyway, the cops for some reason, I guess the other guy that got pulled over second got took first. So they're asking the guy gets out. He goes, "Hey man, you got pulled over the same area. We went to jail the same night." Yeah. He's like, "Hey man, did you see what happened to my car?" The police are like, "Yeah, they let your friend drive home." He goes, "That's not my friend. That was just some guy who was giving a ride home from the bar."
Took the man's car.
Yeah.
But that goes to show you how cops focus on the stupid shit sometimes, and then the bad guys actually get away with crime because they're sitting here fucking with you about some fucking small, minute issue. I'm just like, and that's not the first time. Then the second time, that's the first time. The second time they pulled a gun on me, my mother moved to Albuquerque with me from Phoenix. And what happened was, nowadays when you try to get your titles or your tags switched to another state, they won't do it automatically. They need, if you buying that car, they want a statement from the bank that says okay for you, even though you pay for the money. They asking the person who the bank that loaned you the money for the car, is it okay? Like basically they looking out for corporations, as often they do. So anyway, they gave my mom a 30-day tag, okay, like a temporary tag. So on day 31, that thing expires. Okay, cop pulled me over, and I get out the car, and he says, he's on his loudspeaker, turn around, put your head on you, do a jumping jack, grab your balls, all that shit they take you through. So when I first get out, and when he started giving me, I see one cop, and he's just back there telling me to follow his instructions. And so put your hands in your head, and as I'm back, he says, back up to me. So when I get halfway, he comes up and to put cuffs on me. And again, I'm thinking it's just the registration being expired. What the fuck is this all about? So when I turn around again, it's another cop there, and then both of them got their guns pulled on me. I have no idea why. So finally, when we get to the state, they arrest me and take me down to the station. They put the cuffs on so tight he can't even get them off. Often, every time the cops put cuffs on me, they can never get them off. That's how tight they put them on.
Yeah, they get them on the last clip.
White folks always slide right out the cuffs. You ever see that? White folks be in the back of the car and they slide right on out the cuffs.
Yeah,
that never happened to black people.
Yeah.
We never get to slide out the cuffs.
After they take you to Burger King, after you murdered a church full of black people.
We never get to slide out the cuffs. So anyway, the guy tells me, he says, well, your license plate, and it was, somebody had stole my mother's license plate off her car and put another license plate on. And it's funny because my mom, she kept saying, son, there's something wrong with my license plate. I said, oh, Mom, I ain't got time for this. You know what I mean? You know what? License, come on. Sure enough, somebody stole her license plate and put another one on, and the cop get behind me. Like you say, they ran the tag. So he tells me the license plate was involved in a serious crime. I automatically go into, oh, this shit I see the officer talking about. That, he said it was a violent crime that happened. So I'm thinking he don't know if it was me or whoever, although you had to be a dumbass criminal to do a violent crime, take a license plate from the scene and put on your car and then drive that car around, knowing that this license plate was connected to a violent crime. But that's how they think some of us are that dumb. Okay. Long story short, now the next 3 months, I'm back in and out the courtroom. The first day is arrangement, or the day you sign, say, okay, I plead not guilty. Then you come back another 3 weeks and, it was like 2 months that I had to go back like 2 or 3 times. So finally, they give me a public defender, and I asked him, I said, man, what was the crime that this license plate was connected to? He said, he looked at me with a frown like what the hell are you talking about? I said, the officer told me that this license plate was connected to a violent crime. He said, no, some lady woke up in the morning and realized her license plate was gone and called the cops and said, somebody stole my license plate. That was the violent crime.
And that was your mom?
No, some lady, somebody did take her plate off her car.
Okay.
And swapped them out with my mother's plate. I have no idea. And this was funny this was in Albuquerque, New Mexico. My mom had just came from Arizona, so she had an Arizona license plate on. And the person that lived in Albuquerque had an Arizona license plate on her car. I have no idea how the fuck that happened, dude. But anyway, that's the second time cops pulled guns on me for something so, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. I mean, and
what are you pulling guns on me for? I'm not here to, when I talk about...
you a big brother too, so I can see them drawing down on you.
Yeah,
but I should be able to grow up in this country and not have guns pointed on me by the police officers. And I don't want to say because I'm black, but I don't know no other reason to blame it on.
Yeah.
I've heard arguments where people say, officers need more training, they don't have funding, and they need, more help. But I feel like, remember when the cops used to be in the neighborhood? When they used to walk
the beat?
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't do that no more.
Nah, they don't.
Because they're more military style now.
Yeah.
If you might not notice it, because they kind of did it smooth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But cops are now more like military than are police officers.
Yeah, they're not friendly. I mean, you can say hi to them, but can you say hi to them?
I mean, like I said, I deal with them because of my work, and I see them a lot more. I deal with them a lot more than I would prefer to. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? But I actually learned a lot of stuff they were teaching us about the guard cards and stuff like that. It was actually taught by an ex-police officer, man. It was just some of the things he was teaching. Like he said that you know what the national gang sign is for police officers? It's like a 1 and a 2 on the chest. No, 1 on the one finger to the forehead and 2 to the chest, and that's what it stands for. Is 1 to the head and 2 to your chest, and that's the national gang sign for. They said they had a convention. A national convention in California, and they decided that was the new police gang sign. It was 1 to the head and 2 to the chest. Because in California, they were dealing with these police. They were dealing with gang members throwing signs, and so they would have gang members throwing signs at the police, and the police started throwing their sign, which is 1 to the head, and that's how he's letting them know, I'm gonna get you 1 in your head and 2 in your chest. You know what I'm saying? That's brutal. You know what I mean? But they just like that. I guess just dealing with society's worst. You just you kind of develop, like we were talking about, when you grow up in the hood, you kind of develop a disdain for black folks. So I think they, that kind of translates over to them as well, And I'm not saying like I'm not making excuses, but like I just like their mentality. Like dude had a mug that said it was like a homicide. It was like a homicide unit. Our day starts when yours ends. And it was like to them that's a joke. Like somebody, you know what I mean? People getting killed. Like you know what I mean? So
That's dark.
yeah, you know what I'm saying. But he just like he had that same mentality, like where it was just you deal with that so much that it just becomes, yeah, I had to shoot somebody today, but I mean that's part of the job. You know what I mean? It just becomes, you know what I mean? Another day at the office. You know what I'm saying? So I think it's a toxic. You know what? Maybe officers should be switched around from departments as far as like you shouldn't have to work in the hood for 20 years straight.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You know what I'm saying? Put them up in the suburbs too, so that they can, you know, switch them from, you know what I'm saying? Okay, he could working in Scottsdale. He worked in South Phoenix, but now he's got to work in Scottsdale. So they can balance out to where, hey, you know what I mean? Like they don't have that total disdain for everybody that they have to deal with on a daily basis. You know what I'm saying?
I think police officers just really, they have a hard time either way.
That's a hard job.
It's a hard job, yeah. I mean, cause like I said, they see the worst of us.
Yeah.
You know, we don't see that all day. But you can clearly see there is a difference how they treat minorities and how they treat, you know, white people. It is a difference here.
Yeah. I think our attire has a lot to do with it too. Because if they see you with your pants hanging off your ass and you looking like a thug, they know they can run your face into the concrete and you ain't gonna have no legal representation. Now they see you riding in a BMW.
Because they know they can look at you and tell who you are. But that's the point I was making about your behavior is going to reflect on me, regardless. You know, you're not an individual. When you act a certain way, like let's go back to like the gangbang when that was the big the gangbangers in L.A. You know, I mean, that was some scary shit that these guys will go down the street and just shoot people and don't even hit the guy they're after, but they're shooting kids and shit. You know what I'm trying to say? So when the media, you know, blow that all, you know, put that in people's vision or in people's mind, do you think these people are careless? They have no respect for human life. So when a cop shoot one of us, you know, that media somehow they paint that picture. This is a gangbanger. Oh, he probably was a crip, or he probably was already too. You know,
robbing a store.
He wasn't no angel. You know
that's what they do. Even with Trayvon Martin, they try to say, well, Trayvon Martin had pot in his system. Soda. What? Who cares?
You know,
but they always try to, and that works for that jury because they don't put a jury of me and you and people, you know, that have our experience. They don't put us on a jury. You know, conservative white folks are always the way to go when it's about race. When you want a black person to be convicted of a crime, you put white conservative people on. The prosecutor ain't even got to show up. just go to guilty or not guilty, and you know you almost gonna get a guilty every time. So that's but that's a whole different beast. You got the police force, and then you got the judicial system. Which either way, I tell any black person, stay away from both of them. You know, just stay away from both of them because they just don't know what you're going to do.
I've been fighting the case for the last 2 years, and you know, matter of fact, I got to go to court in August. But you know what? Too, I had a decent experience as far as everybody being just considering my case the way it was. You know, it was a vehicle accident. I can't speak too much on it, but it was a vehicle accident, which you know, accidents happen and there was insurance and everything, but everybody, I feel like from my personal experience has been handling things like I sat down and I talked to the prosecutor. You know, most of the time black people, you know, minorities, we ain't trying to talk to the prosecutor because I was going to defend myself. So I was like, where's the prosecutor? I want to sit down there. And they're like, oh, that's kind of, we don't really do that. And I'm like, well, if I'm my own attorney, then me and him going to have some kind of interaction. So I sat down with him, and I wanted him to see that, hey, you know what? Hey, this brother is intelligent. He's not a criminal. You know what I'm saying? I wanted to have that interaction to be let him know, hey, I'm a hardworking man. The thing that happened was at work. It wasn't like I was out on a Saturday night being stupid. It's, you know, things like this happen. You know what I'm saying? So, and just the way that I presented myself, number one, that's the big thing. But it goes back to, you know, my dad always make us go to court with suits and ties. I can remember one time I was like, I don't know, 17 or 18, had to go to court, and I asked my dad, "Are you coming with me?" He's like, "Well, I'm going with you. You the one that did the crime. You know, you did what you did." So I was like, man, but at the same time, my dad was the kind of person that would pull strings behind the scenes, but wouldn't tell you about that because he don't want you to be like, well, you know who my dad is. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So a lot of times they threw out things, but we went and we played the game. We were presentable. Last time I went to court, it was funny because I went in there presentable. It's like a psychology that I have about court. I never wear black T-shirts because I never wear hats. You know what I mean? Because a black man with the black shirt on gonna look like a bad guy because you're already vilifying yourself. You just gotta think about psychologically. You're vilifying yourself. You know what I'm saying? You're wearing a hat. Like black people with hats are just intimidating to them. You know what I'm saying? So I go in there with a tie on. Playing the role. Was respectful. I said, hey, I was gonna defend myself, but I want to take you guys up on an offer to get that that attorney. And then what you denied it, and I was like, oh yeah, well. I said something, but she was like, okay, well, we're going to give you a public defender. And I was like, and it was this older white lady. I said, hey, I appreciate it. And she looked up and she smiled. And she was like, you know what? I'm going to give you. And then she talked about whenever they started talking about the guy that they were giving me, like her and the lady who does the transcribing or whatever, she's like, oh yeah, he's real good. So I'm like, I had a feeling that they didn't give me like the guy that got D's, they didn't give me the bottom of the barrel because my interaction with her was positive because she's like, first of all, the people that she was dealing with before me skipped out on court dates. They finally catching up to them. You know what I'm saying? Me, she's like, you're not even supposed to be here today. Like, you're not scheduled to be here today. I was like, yeah, but I wanted to talk to you about getting on my public defender. You know what I'm saying? So, first of all, you got people that are skipping out on court dates, you know what I'm saying, showing no respect for the judicial system. Then you got this guy showing up presentable, you know what I'm saying, not even supposed to be there and being respectful. And then, you know what I'm saying?
They're like that.
Exactly. So turns out, so she smiled at me. She wasn't smiling at nobody. She looked up and she was like, I said, because two things that I understand. Men don't hear enough is, I'm proud of you. You know what I'm saying? Women don't hear enough is, I appreciate you. So I was like, all right, let me, I appreciate you.
Spitting game?
Yeah. So, yeah. So that's another, but anyway, I said, when I said that, I could see her light up, and she's realizing she doesn't hear that a lot of her, you know what I'm saying, in her line of work. Anyway, so when I left the court, I'm looking at everybody that's there, and they're looking at me like, what did you do? You know what I'm saying? I was like, there's a code of conduct and how to present yourself that I think is lost in this generation.
Yeah.
And anyway, when I leave, I come back later on, the other people that are involved, like the other attorneys, they're like, hey, that guy that they gave you, he's just not a regular public defender. He has his own law firm. So pretty much the judge gave me somebody that's probably better than I could have afforded on my own.
Yeah. He's just doing pro bono work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, it's you get, like my mom used to say, you get more bees with honey than you do with vinegar. You know what I'm saying?
It just depends on what you're in it for because it is a system.
Yeah.
And I think they have removed the human element out of the system. I remember I was taking a class, and one of my assignments was I had to go down and I had to sit through a court case, and then I had to write a report about it. And so I said, okay, it's cool. I'm gonna get a chance to see what the court system is like. So this brother was in there. I think he was an Indian dude. His case, it was assault and battery on his girlfriend. What happened was they had a rocky relationship, and so the courts got involved and gave them both a restraining order. Now the restraining order clearly was saying that neither one of you can be around each other. 500 feet. Okay, that's the court order. The court has spoken. So what happens is he's at a bar that I think they used to hang out together. So anywhere in that bar, she's violating because it's not big enough.
If he's there first, right?
He's there first. Yeah. So I think she should have just left, right? But so she don't leave. He tries to go talk to her. She mouths off. And he clocked her. Okay. Now he's wrong. All right. But how I viewed it was I felt like he should have been punished, which he was. I think they sent him to jail for like 6 months. But she didn't get no punishment at all. And what they said, and this is why I say the court system is to me it's a weird entity. So with the judge, because the judge has too much power, the judge says, well, since she broke the violation and he didn't leave. By him not leaving, he also broke the restraining order. Okay, so therefore we're going to erase that. In other words, they made it so he was wrong, she was wrong. So therefore, no punishment for her though at all. That's what I'm trying to say. How the court is. They can be racist, they can be feminist. they pretty much can do anything they want, and they can side with whoever they want to side with.
Well, that's the thing, is they got discretion. One of the things that it said, like, one of the cases saying, like, okay, if there's no cap on injuries, but I'm like, it says clearly in the law that there's a $10,000 cap on injuries or whatever. He's like, no, but they ruled that it was unconstitutional to have a cap on injuries, and I'm like, well, where's that in the law? No, that's what they. I'm like, but it wasn't nowhere written. So when I found that out, was like, I'm over here quoting the law that is freaking written, and you're telling me that they don't.
Right.
They don't honor that.
They have too much power.
Right.
Because to me, if she hadn't broke her restraining order, that would have avoided that situation. Now, I'm not saying he should have got punished, which he did. But that's what I'm trying to say. How
she antagonized him. She went to his location. She should have gotten punished.
She should have left.
She broke the restraining order.
Because he probably thought, being stupid, well, she must not hate me that much. She's here.
Yeah, he leveled it up though when he took the fucked up.
He fucked up.
Yeah, it went from paperwork to this is an assault. Yeah, so.
But either way, the judge just has so much power, and it's weird because a judge can step in, even when somebody like that girl in California, the little sister that got shot by the Korean lady, she was found guilty. Remember the Korean lady shot the little sister in the back?
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what
they got into a fight at the convenience store. The Korean lady was accusing her of stealing orange juice.
Okay. It was what Tupac was talking about. He was like, a bottle of juice is not worth.
Probably, yeah. So anyway, so the Korean lady goes to court. They found her guilty, and the jury recommends like 15 years, 20 years, or something like that. It was manslaughter. Guilty. And they say she should go to prison. The judge says, I recognize a murderer when I see one. And Mrs. Wong, who or whatever, is no threat to the community. She just shot a young girl in the back. In the back. Okay? And the judge says she's no threat. Because that meant, well, she shot a black kid. You see?
Yeah.
So this all comes down to, this is how much power the judge has.
Yeah.
That she can overturn, and the lady did no time. It was like 40 hours of community work.
Because
community service.
Yeah, 3/5 of a human. Like, they don't tell us that.
Now,
they still.
On the flip side of that, when a cop or somebody, like a cop shoot and kill somebody, and they get away with it, what's the first thing that come out that judge's mouth? My hands are tied behind my back. There's nothing I can do. You see what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
So they choose to, say, there's nothing I can do here. But then when they want to, they can overturn a guilty verdict and say, let that person go. Even when you can clearly see, like we had here, a videotape of her shooting the girl in the back.
Exactly.
So that's just an entity I'm scared to deal with. So
I learned when I came out here. I think it was like 2007. I had fought one case. It was I had to go through. I was drinking in the bars, and I didn't realize that you get thrown out of a bar in Tempe. You don't get kicked out in the street. Like, you go to jail. Like, you know what I mean? They throw you out of the bar into the back of a cop car. Like I was like, okay, I'm out of the bar. I'll just go to another bar. And like, no, your night's over with. You know what I'm saying? So I went to that, and I was drinking or whatever. And I noticed the difference of the people that I got too. Like, I mean, they roughed me up. They threw me in the back. Anyway, when I was going to the court, they decided. You know what the judge told me? He says, he looked at me and he was like, at the time I was about, I want to say 26, 25 maybe. Anyway, the judge looks at me, and he didn't say it like this, but I got the vibe that he was like, no priors. Like, 25-year-old black man that doesn't have any priors. Like, he was like impressed by that. Like, you know what I'm saying? And he was like, you know what? I'm going to give you the deferral program. And I was like, what is that? And so I get to the deferral program. It's a bunch of people with DUIs, like white people with businesses, like well-to-do people. And I'm just sitting there like, where are all the black folks? And I was like, oh yeah, that's right, they're in jail. So, you know what I'm saying? So like, yeah, so I'm like, I got a chance to actually sober up with the white people, you know what I'm saying? And I interacted in the class, like everybody liked me, like even the lady that was doing the classes, she was like, hey, because my screener kind of tried to screw me over. Okay, the screener, she said she was a counselor. So I started telling her I got, substance abuse issues, and she's like, well, I'm actually your screener. You're gonna be dropping UAs, and I'm like, dang, like they have me confused. You actually like my probation officer, and I'm thinking you're my counselor. You know what I'm saying? Like that's the way they say, oh, you're gonna go see your counselor, which is actually the screener.
She's against you.
Yeah, exactly. So you're gonna go to classes once a week. You're gonna drop UAs randomly. You're gonna go to your AAs. You're gonna what I mean. She dropped. So when it's funny because when I'm actually dealing with the people that's there, the lady's like, hey, you want to drop this week or next week? And I'm like, yeah, I didn't study for the test this week, so I'll do it next week. And because it was the favor that I had, I was participating in the classes, I was having stories and talking to people and stuff like that. When I had to get out, when it was time for me to finish, people were like, man, this is gonna be boring without you. But I tend to be that way, you know what I'm saying? I tend to participate. Okay, this is what it is. So I guess I think just growing up with the I think that's what it is growing up with a father that kind of was familiar with law enforcement. I kind of knew what they, you know what I mean, how to interact with them, and I think that's what young black men don't have. Majorities don't have that we don't have that mentor or somebody to sit there and explain to us how they think and how they respond.
Let me ask you this question: What is your court system like over there?
It's corrupt.
Corrupt.
It's very. I remember one time my family, we were getting back from. I think we were just like in the countryside. We just have land out there, so we were like in a pickup van. It was like 10 people in the back. It was just we were rolling deep, and like the cops were just doing like routine stops, and I guess one of the cops knew somebody in my family, so they just let us go, but. Like I looked back and they had pulled over this guy on a motorcycle. He looked like a normal guy, and they just like stopped him, threw him on the wall, and he was just like trying to resist. So like 3 or 4 of them just came and just started beating him, and I was like, yo, why am I the only one seeing this or what? And they're just like, yeah, that's just how it is. If you don't give them money or if you don't know somebody, then it's just
See, and that's the thing about being in America. It's so weird because we can complain about the injustices that happen.
But they happen everywhere. It's power.
But then you hear stories about another country, and you be like, God damn, woo! You see what I'm saying? It's like, and that's what's hard for, I think, for black people. We are always trying to figure things out. Because no picture is never painted clear to us. Is the police department truly that bad to us, or are these isolated situations? Do we have the power to avoid most of these shootings? You see what I'm trying to say? And most people think we do, which I think we do, but it's like if you tell black people that's not typically black folks think no. So when I listen to my people, I think, damn, these cops just they just come out there to shoot us. But then when I look at the whole story, almost 90%, let's say 70% of the time, to be nice, it escalated from a situation. It got worse. Just like the guys. Real quick, let's talk about the guy in Tempe. Okay.
Or was it Mesa?
Mesa. Was it Mesa?
Yeah.
So when I first hear the story, what I get was the cops pulverizing this guy. Right? That the guy's on his phone. He's not violent. He's he's kind of like, I don't say resisting, but he's not really. It's a mild situation to me.
He's disrespecting them.
Then the cops just come out of nowhere, boom, boom. I mean, I'm like, God damn.
The brother was gonna be the worst one because he had something to prove. Like he probably the one that's like
that cop, the black cop.
Yeah, he was getting his hits in. He even got some knees in there.
I mean, just like bam, bam.
I was
bam.
just like, whoa.
But you know what? He probably has to let them know too. Like he probably has to know that I'm down, but also too like I'll fuck y'all up if it came down to it.
But get this though, but just when you first see the story, that's what you get, the violent part, right? Which is wrong. You don't care what happened. It doesn't justify the ends in this case. So what happens is when you get the whole story, this guy, the black guy that got beat, got his ass beat. He goes to his friend's girlfriend's apartment. So this is not his apartment. This is his friend's girlfriend's apartment, which apparently she's not there. And if she is there, she's not trying to open the door. So the cops get a call that somebody is trying to get in or break in this lady's apartment. So when the cops get there, they ask, well, we're investigating. We got a call, okay, that this is what's going down. And so they asked the Mexican, the Hispanic guy and the black guy to have a seat on the steps. The black guy refused to sit down. Okay. Now, to some degree, he has that right. I agree. However, if the truth is he showed up with this guy trying to get in this woman's apartment, you have now, so to speak, caused a situation. You didn't have, first of all, it's not even his girlfriend. I can see, if that was his girl, I kind of say, well, you know, you fight with your girl, you might have your Rolex watch, $500 Rolex watches in her apartment. You want your watch, she won't give it to you. You know, something I can see. But this is not even, in other words, he don't even really have to participate in this because it's not his girlfriend. This is his friend's girlfriend. And if the cop showed up because they got to call somebody trying to break an apartment, if that guy took a seat, I think maybe you should have took a seat too. However, he's thinking, well, I ain't got nothing to do with this. I'm just here with my friend. He don't realize when something happens, if you rob a bank and you get in the car and pull off and you pick me up and the cop get behind us and they know that you robbed the bank, guess what? I'm part of the crime now.
Yeah.
And until they remove me from the situation, then it's best for me to cooperate. But he didn't cooperate. But now he was wrong. Then they had to beat that brother like that. Yeah. But on the same token, that brother had an opportunity to maybe de-escalate the situation.
Yeah. No, I think they go from 1 to 100 too fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, honestly, like, you get all them cops together, it's like boiling a teapot. Like, it's gonna, you know, you're gonna have to let that pressure out somehow. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. And all that alpha male energy, you know, is just, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, it's like, you know what I'm saying? It's like cooking sauce, or it starts boiling after a while. You get all them guys together, they going up there, they like, we not leaving without huffing somebody up. You know
well, in this case, though, it sounded like to me, I mean, it looked like by all means, they was going to show him that when we ask you to have a seat, when we investigating a crime, that's what you need to do. Now, whooping his ass is just, that's not really the issue here. The issue is they sending a message.
Right.
This is a message.
Right.
And that's what's almost as offensive as attacking this guy, is that you are showing us as American citizens what you'll do to us if we don't obey you. And that's kind of barbaric to me. Yeah. That, you know, you want to show that, you know, we'll kick your ass because you don't have a seat on the step.
Well, tell you to. You know what? It goes back to having a monopoly on violence, man. That's who rules the world, is whoever has a monopoly on violence. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Well, like they say, the Vietnam War was such, like, the Vietnamese, they're like, we know we're gonna lose more people, but we're down to have a bloodier war. Like, we're down to see some gut wrenching ish go down before we give up. You know what I'm saying? So that's until like citizens like start feeling like, you know, if you think about it, look at people in other countries that fight with the soldiers. They're throwing rocks and Molotov cocktails, like, you know, Berlin, and, you know, you look at these places where they're out there fighting with rocks, and then they're fighting people that got guns. They just, people get tired, and they're like, you know what I'm saying? Like, the majority, like, you know what I mean? Like, people, it takes, you know, like, if you think about it, prison, you look at prison, a lot of them police officers or prison guards, they look at the leaders of these prison gangs and they're afraid of them because they don't have nothing to lose. You know what I'm saying? So unless you're that kind of person that you feel like you ain't got nothing to lose, you're willing to shoot it out, then, you know, you're not going to have the monopoly on violence, and it's going to have control over you in some aspect of your life. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but when do you know, we get that? You know,
when we establish our own communities, and we gotta start buying land instead of jewelry and all this dumb shit. You know what I'm saying? And saying, like, you know what, we're gonna hire private security to watch our neighborhood. It's a gated community, and check this out. You know what the cops told me when I was in that property? Like, oh, technically this is private property. We don't have any precedent over here, so technically, I can't really do nothing. See, they go back to playing that game to where, oh, it's not my jurisdiction, but you're not going to give me the information of those ladies that you just took, but then you're going to tell me I'm in charge. You know what I'm saying? So,
and see, and I think that is what I'm trying to say, is that we're supposed to be, I'm going to tell this quick story about education, because that's where it is. When we start reading and understanding, then we even have a better shot at it, because now we can interpret the law ourselves, instead of letting some defendant always say. Right. So when your lawyer tell you shit, you don't even know how to argue with them. Not argue, but to say, hey, man, I don't think that's the best tactic for us. Maybe we should try that. Mm-hmm. You know, because he could be a lazy lawyer. You know, he just want to go home and drink his beer too. You don't know, because you don't know how. Like what I found out when I had got my DUI, the public defendant, the cops didn't send a report in, right? So this chick tells me. So when I go down to the court. We supposed to get this done with. She says they didn't send in the paperwork. She says by law, I'm required to notify them, okay, and give them time to send in the report. I figured if this motherfucker didn't send in a report,
that's their mistake.
That's their mistake, which means the case probably ain't important enough for them to even, think about it. So, but she told me she got to help them get me. Basically, that's how I took it.
Yeah.
Because I thought she should have went to the judge and said, "Look, Your Honor, the cops didn't respond. We moved to dismiss this case."
Right.
I probably could have done that myself because I'm not obligated to follow those laws that public defender is. You understand what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that's why they didn't want me representing myself.
Right.
You know what? When I did that, the prosecutor was like, he didn't even want to talk to me. He felt like, and he was like, it was an iffy situation for him. He was like, I'm not supposed to say that much to you. You know what I'm saying? And yeah, they don't, because they have a certain way that they play their game, that they like to play their game. If you don't want to play the game,
you're right. Now you're an enemy.
It messes it up for everybody.
Right.
It's not no fun.
You got to stick to your role. If you don't stick to your role, then
you defending yourself. Now.
Watch a serious court case and watch how the public defender or the lawyer and the judge is doing all the talking, right? And then you got the person who is innocent until proven guilty with their life on the line here. Don't you think that person should be participating more in that person? But we're not educated. We don't understand.
Well, they see about
the language, the lingo.
Tekashi, I was watching this thing where they said his lawyer went up there and tried to get him out of jail, and then they was like, they wasn't having it. And he even spoke up to where he was like, I learned my lesson, Your Honor, after one day at Rikers. He was like, I learned my lesson, and you know what I mean? They were like, nah, we're gonna wait till you get extradited back to Houston. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you've had the full experience that you're supposed to get here. You know what I'm saying? But
ask yourself this though: how come in the public school system? I went to the public school system 12, 13 years. Okay, including kindergarten. I never once remember them teaching us anything about our amendments. Shouldn't that something you should be taught?
Yeah.
Since it's so important to us, how come they don't teach you none of your amendments?
Yeah,
you know why?
None of the Bill of Rights. I mean,
they don't teach you none of that. All you know is I have the right to say what the fuck I want. That's the only thing they would teach you.
They teach you the history of a scroll that somebody wrote on, but they don't go into depth.
And they teach, and when we were set free as slaves, allegedly set free. That's about the only two amendments I ever remember them talking about in school. But we should know our amendments.
Well, you know what? I mean, I have my own beliefs. I have we never were really set free.
Mm-hmm.
And then again too, you look at
You know what? I want you to teach me my amendments, and I'll learn the Pledge of Allegiance on my own time.
Well, you know what?
Teach me my amendments. I'll learn the Pledge of Allegiance on me. They taught me that in school.
I was in behavior disorder. I was in behavior disorder classes.
Short.
Yeah, they always try to put you and say you got learning disabilities and stuff like that when they don't want to teach you. I think they have a structure that 85% of the people are gonna fall into. They don't ask any questions. If you're that 15 and they send you and say you got learning disabilities, put you in behavior because they knew you're gonna be a problem for society later on. I just asked too many questions. You know what I'm saying? So I think that's when they realize, this kid, we're not gonna put too much time and focus on him because he requires too much attention and he's gonna end up being a problem in society later on anyway.
Yeah, but like I said, that's why I always try to tell people, you have to look at, we are still in a form of slavery, and when we truly want to be free, we'll start learning what freedom is. But what we learning is financial. We know what financial success is,
right?
But we don't know what freedom is.
Well, I'm gonna say this is gonna be done. I think the community needs to get together and decide what kind of people are coming to the neighborhood to be policed. I think we need to know the track record of these police officers and where they've been and what kind of misconducts they've been guilty of in the past. But we don't have that kind of information because the police, they cover their tracks for their own people. But there's actually a resource, just like the police misconduct database that is put together by prosecutors or and lawyers, and you can see the percentage of X amount of cops were arrested for rapes. You know what I'm saying? And they give you a just
the cops who actually done the crimes.
Yeah, they don't get. You see, they don't go into depth to let you know the actual cop. Yeah, but they'll let you know in this area or demographic, this is how many cops were arrested for rapes, for assaults, and and it tells you the main crimes that they tend to lean towards. You know what I'm saying? But I think if they can get to the point where they start saying, okay, let's figure out who these officers are and where they're going to, and see. And
that's important because in 50 years you can have a police department full of degenerates.
Exactly.
Out here policing us.
Exactly. So just like we were talking about, everybody has the right to have their own police, like the GCUs and the people of the community need to get together and say, look, we need to know what kind of people are policing our neighborhoods, because they could be the same worse than the criminals.
But see, that's what I found so interesting, brother, is that my father, and you heard it too, I said it before, that Harriet Tubman would always say the statement that I could have freed a lot more slaves if they knew they were slaves.
Yeah.
And so the average black person doesn't really see that structure. They think that we Americans, and we are no different than anybody else, and we have police form. That's like I tell my girl, don't you ever call the police on me. You know what I mean? But when she do call the police, if you got any damn sense, you get the fuck out of there. But the average brother, they get into a fight with his girl, and when the police get there, he's still there.
Yeah, he want to tell his side of the story.
He want to tell because he think it's a chance for justice.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. He think justice gonna be on his side. It's like, no, bro, get the fuck up out of there before those cops get there, because a woman gonna win that one.
Yeah. No, I mean, actually, I had a situation where I was dating this white girl, and I was trying to get my stuff out of the house, and she kicked me out the house. Mm-hmm. So, like, my mentality was whoever called the cops first is gonna win, right? So I see her on the phone, and we both on the phone, and I'm trying to get somebody first, and then so make a long story short, the white police lady shows up first, and I'm like, oh, I'm done, right? But it turns out she was actually more on my side, because my lady was like yelling and being like, oh, spiteful. She's like, yeah. I had a turtle. She's like, go get that toxic mother. You know what I'm saying? So she was being spiteful, and I'm just over here like, officer, I just want my things. You know what I'm saying? I'm just like, I just want my stuff. So at one point, the lady police officer that I thought was gonna be against me was the white lady. Was like, hey, you need to calm down, miss. And actually, you know what I'm saying? So that was like,
oh yeah.
So it's like, what? I can't be totally. You know what I'm saying?
Against them. Now that you said that, I gotta be honest. Actually, the cops saved my life one time. I was going through a bad divorce with my ex-wife, and the cops had been there several times. And they usually, the last time they came, this black guy came and he bent my wrist off. I was nice and respectful to him, so I knew I touched her. That's why I didn't hit her, but I touched her. I put hands on her. I know they're coming to get me, so I'm waiting for them to come get me. Black cop being disrespectful, he gonna twist my arm up and everything. So anyway, later on we get into it again. But this time I'm at a point, I'm drinking heavy. I'm like, if those cops come here disrespecting me today, we getting into it. I was prepared to die.
Yeah.
That's that liquor duty. Yeah. That's that liquor duty. That liquor say, man, fuck the police department, you can kick all their ass. So what happens is, these cops came in so respectful, so honest and decent.
They shut you down.
Man, they shut me down. I was sitting there, man, next time I know we sitting there talking about, yeah, maybe we should sit down and have a beer one day, bro. You know what I mean? It was in other words, because they gave me so much respect, and it didn't come, because usually cops come in and they automatically take the woman's side.
Yeah.
But by them coming in and showing me respect, it just blew me away. And it was all white cops too. I was sitting there like, wow, this is so cool, man. So now I'm like, man, this is, what I'm trying to say. The fact is that cops have so much power. If they treat people with some respect, most of us would be like, oh man, I'm on your side now. Which how y'all guys want to handle this? Yeah. But it was just wonderful, because it could have turned out to be really ugly. If those cops had came in like a lot of those cops do, it would have been ugly for me. I didn't expect to win.
I grew up around officers, and my dad, like, he would always get like their sergeant cards or lieutenant cards. I don't know if you guys seen them. Yeah. It was basically like an identification for like family members or whatever. So whenever my dad would get pulled over, he'll get his license registration, then he'll slip a card in. Like, he has a pick of the letter, like a day, each one for a day, whatever. So he'll just slip it in there, and they're like, oh, who's this? And my dad's like, oh, that's my brother. Or my sister, whatever. So the officer's like, oh, ish, I can't huff with him.
Right.
But, I mean, cops, like, for the most part, I've had, like, positive interactions. Like,
most positive.
Yeah, like, I've met one in jiu-jitsu, and he's like, hey, if you ever in, like, my beat after 12 a.m. you get pulled over, you let me know. Like, you say you know me, and I'll be there. And I was just like, oh, ish. Okay. I'm like, granted, I won't be out that time, but all right, I think I accept the offer,
Yeah, a lot of times I think the older ones are little. They're not as gung ho. They understand that there's good people and there's bad people. One of the things that I don't think they're teaching anymore is there was this course from George Rhino Thompson, and it's called Verbal Judo. He's the one that created Verbal Judo. This dude was actually an English professor that turned out to turn into a police officer. So he went from being an English professor to a police officer. The dude was like a martial artist his whole life. So, and he was a big guy, hence the name Rhino. So he knew he had all the tools to be able to mess somebody up, but he preferred to go and use words. And one of the things he said is, when people are angry, they use their midbrain instead of their front brain.
The frontal.
Yeah, so he says...
Problem solving is the frontal.
Yeah, so he says they're thinking with the capacity of a dog. He's like, your job is to make them think the way that they would think if they weren't angry. So you almost have to be like their designated
That's some beautiful words there, man. I like that.
So when he would break it down, he'd almost have you like, hey man, I mean, you know what? I mean, just you had a little bit too much to drink. We're gonna run you down there. You're gonna probably sleep you're gonna sleep this off and process, and by the time you wake up, it's gonna be time for you to get out. But you don't want to make things any worse than they already are. And he would take things like, you're an asshole. Yeah, you're right. My wife will probably agree with you on that one, but at the end of the day, we got
to win you over.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that's not being taught, because I've always felt like I've done security, and they have this thing that they only want to give security. They only want to give guns to ex-cops and ex-military. And I'm like, well, what's wrong with giving it to a guy who's been who's proven that he doesn't have to shoot anybody to do his job? You know what I'm saying? But it's like they get a hard on whenever they come across like, oh, he's ex-military. Like, okay, if a police turns into a security guard, what did he do on the force to get him kicked off? To now he's a security guard. Like, that's something happened there. You know what I'm saying? You got to consider that. So, I think they're not taught about the other tools. Like, okay, they might be taught, like you said, there might be jujitsu classes, there might be this, but how many of them are spending more time at the shooting range? Because that's like the main weapon that they want to be able to, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to go to no wrestling class. That's too much work. I'm going to go to the shooting range and let off some rounds. And then that's why.
I know those cops are like robots.
Yeah.
That's why I have a hard time with them. They always in this state of mind of, I'm ready to go from 1 to 100, just like that.
Right.
So they aggravate. I mean, a lot of times cops are the ones who elevate situations. And I give you a point in time. This lady, she was kind of homeless. She went in the police department to get help or whatever. She had some psych problems, but the way he approached her, it made her aggressive, and then he shot her. You see what I'm saying? It was like, dude, you made her elevate. She was trying to be nice and get away from you. You came at her in a way that she felt, that she had to defend herself.
He doesn't know how to defuse.
Then he shot her.
Yeah, they need to know how to defuse situations. You know what I mean? But they're not taking that.
Like those training, those courses.
Yeah, I mean, and
putting themselves in other people's shoes, being more compassionate.
Exactly. But you know what? It goes back to, you know what I mean? You got guys on the south side all day, or you got to be able to switch them around. You got to be able to help.
Yeah, because if the cops get the same old history neighborhood and history people,
they start hating those people.
Yeah, they start hating those people. Yeah.
So
especially he got a mortgage, kid in college. He can't really now. He's at an age that he don't think he can stop and do another career. So then he feels stuck.
Right. With so much things building up.
Yeah. So you guys want to wrap it up?
Yeah.